I would like to introduce our features this morning. I'd like to begin with Lawrence Johnson. Lawrence is a poet who comes from Sharon, Massachusetts. He grew up in the South Bronx of New York. Lawrence started writing poetry in junior high, and he said that poetry then was an outlet for all the feeling that was coming out during the revolutionary period of the 50s and 60s. In college, he studied English, and he also pursued 3 fellowships. He received the fellowships and went on to work as an English teacher for 37 years in the Neenah public schools primarily. Now he's retired, but he stays busy writing. He has a first book out, Reclamation, and a second book is on its way, I believe, this year. In 2007, he received the Caregiver of the Year Award from the Governor of Massachusetts. And this year, Lawrence will be seen in a documentary film titled Jen Silent, which will have its premiere at the Museum of Fine Arts, I think in May. And I found a beautiful quote by Lawrence that I would like to invite him up with, where he talks about the sharing of poetry with others. Lawrence writes, "My poems come through me, and I release them into the world to be, to take flight, to become, and to enter into the souls of others." So we look forward to hearing from him. Please help me welcome Lawrence Johnson.
Good morning and happy spring. I just returned last night, in fact, from the Virginia Festival of the Book. And this is a huge, huge festival where they celebrate all sorts of writing. And I was invited to speak there and really, really enjoyed the whole process. And it was funny because just last week they were covered in snow, still covered in snow. And now spring is arriving in Virginia, and it's quite lovely. I was talking about where poetry comes from, where my poetry comes from, and why I write what I write. But in listening to everybody speak, there was one line. I didn't copy down who said it, but I didn't say it. But it was, I thought, a really appropriate line that I think all of you will appreciate. And it was, "Write garbage, edit brilliantly." And I thought that really sort of sums it up, for me at least. And my poetry does not begin on a computer. My poetry begins in this notebook. And I wrote 2 poems, well, I wrote more than 2, but 2 poems that I'd like to share with you that I wrote on the train. It's a long ride. You get on at South Station, and you take the same train all the way to Charlottesville, Virginia. So you have a lot of time to write and read. And I write a lot of garbage. And then later on, I hope to edit brilliantly. After years and years of caregiving and giving of myself piece by piece, I have decided to go inside and be whole. No one will know I am even gone, save for the ashes by the kitchen door. Depleted, devoid, dismantled. I will wait for all the king's men to see what they can do to put me back together again. In the words of the great runway philosopher of life, one day you're in, the next day you're out. And we spent a lot of time, for some reason, talking about the weather in Virginia, and I wrote this. There is a cold that settles into you in New England that does not let go of you until sometime in May, if you're lucky. The sun shines strongly this Ides of March, but the cold still lingers, like that last guest who does not understand that it is well past time to go. Maybe it's just that the cold has nowhere to go, homeless till winter chills again. Somehow, I have no pity, shrugging a cold shoulder and welcoming spring with warm anticipation. One day, I called up my friend Ruth Ann, and I was depressed, and she said, well, I'm having a lousy day too, and we were going back and forth, and suddenly this poem came out of it. Be the light you are looking for, the lost song you long to sing, the poem waiting in the dark, the dream daring to be. Be the light on that cloudy, dismal day. Be the beacon, be the way. Be the spirit that lights our hope, for in the darkness we are not alone, if we but shine ourselves on one another. So be that light, be it small or bright. Just light the way and pass the candle on. Pass it on. Pass it on. Now I would like to read from Reclamation that was mentioned. I'm very proud of Reclamation because this is a product of therapy. I was a caregiver for my partner, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but being a caregiver for someone with dementia, any form of dementia, is the hardest form of caregiving. And usually what happens, what can happen if you are not careful, is that the caregiver can fade away before the actual patient does. And I was on that edge of fading away. And I started with therapy, and I think I'm one of the few people that, most people just go to therapy and go to therapy and go to therapy. I went to therapy and wrote a book. And so I was very pleased about that, that there was something sort of concrete came out of therapy as opposed to just going to therapy. And this is sort of why I write what I write, is what came out of this book. This is called Piecing Quilts. There is a lot to be learned from life, from piecing a quilt. It is only when we stand back and see our lives from a distance that we begin to see all the pieces we have been gathering day by day and piecing into this quilt we call our lives. Every time we open our arms and allow another person to enter and grace our lives, that person brings another living piece to our quilt, a piece of divine light, enriching and warming our lives. Quilts comfort us on those long Tristan and Isolde nights. They comfort the body and they comfort the soul. They make us feel good and they make us feel safe. They give us a warm place to fall. Quilts are full of the wonder of our lives lived, made up of so many disparate pieces, all the pieces that we sometimes take for granted or discard as useless scraps, leftover promises from yesterday. They are the essential elements of our lives. They tell us who we are, and they tell us where we've been. Quilts lead us through the night. We are all quilts in the making, piecing together our daily lives. And every once in a while, it's nice, as Auden said, to stop all the clocks and cut off the telephone and say thank you to all those who have brought pieces to our quilts. Together, we have enriched each other's lives with warm smiles, gentle laughter, tender and enduring friendship, quiet understanding, and such rich and happy memories, to which we are all ever grateful and thankful. And on those cold winter nights, of which there will be many more to come, we can close our eyes and wrap ourselves each in our glorious quilts and remember the birds singing in the spring garden, the smell of pink blossoms on the bush, the almost unbearable lightness of laughter, the singeing tears of death and pain for loved ones gone but not forgot, the familiar hello of an old friend, the joy of birth and discovery, the bright new green of nature's first gold, the speckled colors of autumn, and the cool shimmering silver of winter. Our quilts are filled with the amazing grace of our lives well lived, the precious warmth of love everlasting, and the soft memories that will bring us yellow roses, blooming still in the depths of winter. One day I came home from work, and there was this giant deer in my backyard. And I wrote this poem called The Velvet Deer. Late one afternoon in December, after the fast and furious winds had swirled into a nervous calm, and dust descended like a diaphanous curtain between scenes, veiling the day in frosted yellow silver light, I came upon a large deer, a beige velvet buck with crown of antlers, standing majestically in my wooded backyard. He looked at me imperially, and in reverent awe, I looked at him, our eyes joining us as one in a fragile communion. And for an eternity, inside an instant, he told me his story, and I remembered all the secrets of the woods and the way back home. We stood there together in my wooded backyard, staring at each other, and in quiet wonder, as if we had known each other for 1,000 years or more, without blinking, without moving, without breathing in or out, so still even the wind had settled in silence. I heard the sound of geese flying overhead. I blinked and looked up. And when I looked again to see my velvet deer, he was disappearing into the afternoon shadows of the woods at the edge of my backyard. I stood there as dusk dissolved to dark, wondering if there ever was a velvet deer standing there at the edge of the woods in my backyard that late afternoon in December. Now, every day at dusk, that silver yellow time in between time, I go back and wait for the velvet deer. I sit in the fading afternoon light in my backyard at the edge of the woods, waiting for him to return, to finish telling me all that I need to know. Okay, thank you. I needed that reminder. There are some poems that I really like, and I just like this. I just like this one. I would love to touch your hand and take you far away with me to a place where we can be. But we both know I can't. I would love to send you a dozen pale yellow roses just because I want to. But we both know I can't. I would love to read you poems through the night and then make you Belgian waffles in the morning. But we both know I can't. I would love to be that quilt on your bed and keep you warm in your naked dreams. But we both know I can't. So until I can, I will pretend not to notice you so much, not to want you so much. But we both know I can't. Thank you.
Well, so that is the first part of this wonderful spring morning, a celebration of poetry, and now for the music. And I look forward to introducing you to our other two features who are coming together on stage, Tara Greenblatt and Owen Kennedy. I'll just tell you a few words about them, and we'll welcome them up. Tara Greenblatt is a singer-songwriter, percussionist, and storyteller coming from New Hampshire. She's a mother of two young sons, and for the past 4 years, she's been a part of a New Hampshire-based New Orleans Mardi Gras band. She also works as an acting teacher and does drum therapy with Alzheimer's patients and severely autistic teens. She has 2 CDs, and you can talk to her after about their availability. And today she'll be performing her own pieces, accompanied by Owen Kennedy, and she'll be accompanying him as well. And Tara noted that they have shared the stage and collaborated musically numerous times over the past 10 years. Owen Kennedy comes from Cambridge, Massachusetts. His childhood years were spent in a diversity of places in the world, from Boston to West Africa and India. And since 10 years of age, he lived in New England, with favorite pastime as a child playing outdoors in nature and also listening to records. He wrote his first song at age 13, but did not begin to publicly share them until about 38. Owen studied English and received his master's in expressive therapies and has been working as a music therapist. He's worked at Perkins Institute for the Blind and also in doing music therapy with children dealing with autism and Asperger's syndrome. And Owen noted that he found he has learned a great deal more from working with them directly than he ever did in graduate school. And Owen has also been learning from the birds outdoors for many years, since he was 27, and he saw his first black and white warbler. And he knows probably almost all of the 10,000 species that he indicated are out there flying about. And he has a number of CDs, and some are in the back as well. He's heard on local radio, the winner of the 2008 Boston Folk Festival Songwriting Award, and music director from WUMB, Marilyn Ray Beyer said about Owen that Owen can fill a room with melody and birdsong and take the people in the room to a far and magical place, Earth. So we look forward to hearing Tara Greenblatt and Owen Kennedy here up on stage. Please help me give a warm welcome to them both.
Okay. So this morning, around 6:45, I was out on my deck in my underwear, and bare feet, and looking at the garden, and I heard white-throated sparrows and robins and juncos and cardinals all singing, you know. It's a cacophony, but it's a symphony. You know what I mean? And I noticed that the white-throated sparrows were first-year white-throated sparrows because they didn't quite have the song right. It was really funny listening to their adolescent voices. So I'm going to respond to them by doing the call correctly first. And then, yeah, that's right. Place my hand upon the cold, wet ground, not frozen anymore, my hand goes down into the layers and layers around the heart of the ancient one. The moon is shining on us through this cool, dark night. Still a sparrow singing, his voice is clear and bright. Light is falling from his eyes, his mouth turned up toward the ancient one. So sweetly in the middle of the night is what moves me. Now my hands are covered up with the dark, wet earth. Everywhere around me is this virgin birth. So many perfect seasons turning round and round the ancient way. Now the sparrow stops to listen for the song of his lover answering so bright and strong. Her voice from the shadows between star and star, from the ancient space. What moves her to sing so sweetly in the middle of the night is what moves me. And I awake from my sleep, and I turn to you in this night so deep. I can't help myself. the middle of the night is you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Actually, I meant to tell you that on 495 coming down, it was as if I was guided along by red-tailed hawks. There was it seemed like every mile there was one perched on one side of the highway. There was one on a sign right by the highway, and then one just swooped right by the car and went down. It's spring. The birds are going insane. You have to be careful. I think some of them, there's some roads that are really narrow, and you're surrounded on the other side by all this sanctuary bird kind of place, and it's as if you're in an Indiana Jones movie. And all these darts are going choo, choo, choo in front of you, and you don't know which is going to hit your car because they're all like, I need to mate. Trying to find. I feel like they're out of control.
It's a hormonal insanity, actually.
Yeah, it seems like it must be. Yeah. Thank God we're not like that. So I just wanted to mention that they're still getting this funky little hum going on.
Yeah, what's that hum about, man?
Yeah, maybe I need to stand back. Stand back. All right.
Might be the drum mic.
Yeah, it might be the drum mic.
Or is it me? Hello?
It is the drum mic. Check it out. It's the drum mic. Well, it's a mic, actually. I don't know. Anyway, here we are. I'm going to sing a song called Song of Defiance. And if you want to stomp or create rhythm with me, feel free in any shape or form. With the mouth, with the body, with the fingers, whatever you want to do. I got to move this butterfly out of the way. I'm going to hurt myself. This is a song in response to 9/11, happened a long time ago. Not that long ago. And it's just such a violent act, and I felt the only way that I could respond to it was with like pacifism. Like, you don't respond to it with violence. You got to respond to it with something else. You know. The sun, he still is rising every morning when I open my eyes. The birds, they still are crossing through the blue cerulean sky. Somebody wants me to be quiet. Somebody wants me to be afraid. But I will not let my hate control me. I mustn't be a prisoner of my rage. This is a song of defiance and a song of happiness. In a time of so much violence, I mustn't let my heart be misled. When it's night outside, the bugs aren't quiet. They sing louder than they do during the day. When the leaves are nearing their final hour, they put forth the brightest colors they can make. In a little crack in the concrete, a tiny seedling shows. Despite our attempts to cover the earth, that seed will grow out of our control. This is a song of defiance and a song of happiness. In a time of so much violence, I mustn't let my heart be misled. Darkness won't destroy this soul. Silence will not take its hold. If you want me to fall, I will rise up. I am a force that you cannot stop. Laughter deflates the enemy. It's like spitting in the face of atrocity. You can break bodies, building cities, but you can't have my creativity. This is a song of defiance and a song of happiness. In a time of so much violence, I mustn't let my heart be misled. This is a song of defiance and a song of happiness. In a time of so much violence, I mustn't let my heart be misled. So, what are you going to do now? Over there.
Well, no, I was just thinking we could kind of carry on that theme. I have a song called Freedom, Freedom, and it was inspired by a 9-year-old person who, during the civil rights marches, was brought to the jail down in Albany, Georgia. And when asked what his name was, he said, "My name is Freedom, Freedom." And I was told about this. I read about this in a book by Howard Zinn. Let's just make sure we're... Yeah, see, the add 9 chord always makes a nice... Yes, you're in tune. It's good. It's good. Today I met a boy named Freedom, Freedom. He stood up tall and he looked me in the eye. Down in the Albany, Georgia jailhouse, he said, "I'm 9 years old and I'm ready to die. What, are you ready to die for freedom? Why did they arrest you and bring you to the jail?" He said, "I was walking down the street, loudly calling and singing my name. Don't shy away from freedom calling. Stand up for love when the world is falling. When the world is falling." Today I met a beautiful woman named Rosa. She stood up tall and she touched the sky. Down in Montgomery, Alabama, she kept her ground so she could testify. What are you keeping your seat for, Rosa? Why did you decide that today was your time? She said, "I was tired of going in through the back door. And if they want to, they can go ahead and call it a crime. Don't shy away from freedom calling. Stand up for love when the world is falling. When the world is falling. When the world is falling. Freedom, 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 freedom.
Goodness gracious. Wow. Oh,
Gosh, you make that drum
invigorating.
sound nice.
Ooh, you make the guitar sound good. Thank you. Well, moving. Wow. Sometimes I'm left speechless with that funky funk soul you got going on. Well, so how about we go right into like a little Can You Hear It? Kind of leads. I like playing off this guy because we can lead. We often have songs
Is this
that
it right here?
melt into each other.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, and so did you do that at Pluck Street? These little. We were working on this a couple days ago.
Is this in the key of
Pluck
G?
string. No, it's like the C. You know how you do it? C. Yeah, yeah. That's it.
What about the verse part?
That's C, F.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
you.
yeah. And then you go to the G, the G7.
Okay,
Hi.
all right.
We just had a little meeting.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We did this on a bench up at a state park the other day.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a lot going on. There was
Geese. There was
mergansers on the
more
pond.
games.
Yeah.
And Felix was hanging out, my little baby. He was hanging out
Oh,
with
my
us,
God.
too.
He's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
He was just, every once in a while, he'd go, "Wee!" Out of nowhere. Kind of
He
like
can
a
already
duck.
drum. And how old is he?
8 months.
8 months old. He's like,
Of course he can already. Yeah. He wouldn't be a part of my family if he couldn't. I'd find some other baby. Sorry, you've been disowned. All right. My 6-year-old can he can beatbox. You know what beatboxing is? With a mouth, like. And he can do the melody of a song, which I cannot do. So he can be like, but the voice doesn't stop while he's drumming.
That's
So
great.
cool. Anyway, all right, here you go. This is about the rhythm and the vibration and the pulse of the earth that moves through every living being and every plant. And being a drummer, I just feel like you got to listen. I'm listening. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure you all are too.
I'm listening to you
You're
first.
going to listen
then
to
I'm
me. All right, here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it starts with the C. Maybe the C and the F. Okay.
C. F.
Yeah, here, I'll show you real quick. Watch this.
Hang on.
This is what we do this is a normal part of the show. Okay, so we were going like this, like, whoops. Is this C?
Yeah.
Oh, so C, sorry, F.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
I know, I was just showing you how I do it.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Me, the drummer, playing the guitar. Here we go. Yeah. That's right. Beginner's mind with each new day. When I wake up, I listen carefully to the little birds and the swaying trees, to the hum between you and me. Yeah. Gratitude in every step, gratitude in every breath. This good earth keeps me alive. I owe the world the joy I feel inside. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it too? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it too? To the ground I listen. There is a pulse, a rhythm, energizing everything, even us human beings, playing each soul like a plucked string. I'm listening. Just membranes vibrating, tuning into frequencies, buzzing like little bees. I'm singing you, you're singing me. I'm singing you, you're singing me. I'm singing you, you're singing me. I'm listening. Oh, can you hear it? Can
had a request for a song.
You go.
Well, actually, I had a couple, but there's only a limited amount of time, so I'll have to take the one that was asked first. It's just the way it goes.
It is.
This is a song I wrote very recently. It's not my most recent song, but it's one of my most recent songs. And I think, I'm beginning to become more human,
As
like,
opposed to bird-like?
Yeah. Trying to get into the human world. And, this one really, I think, is about two people who love each other. And, okay, it's called Lay Your Body Down. Lay your body down. Let me take off your shoes. You've been working hard, baby, and I know you've had the blues. So lay your body down and let me look at you. Forgive me if I cry in the presence of the truth. It took a long time for us to find our way. So lay your body down, baby. Let's just be here today. Sometimes the world is cold and people break your heart and make us believe we have to stand apart. How many angels have fallen down this way? No one to lean on, no one to hear them pray. It took a long time for us to find our way. So lay your body down, baby. Let's just be here today. Do you see how you've inspired me? Can you hear the joy in my voice? I believe in love more than anything. Everything else is just noise. So lay your body down. Try not to think about the world. It's just you and me, just a boy and a girl. You lay your body down. There's nothing you have to do. Just lay right there, being beautiful. It took a long time for us to find our way. So lay your body down, baby. Let's just be here today. You lay your body down.
Sounds like you're in love.
I
With a
guess
human.
you could say that.
That's a gorgeous song. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. You want to do Little Fishy?
Oh, God.
We'll
yes,
do a
I
different
love
kind
that
of
song.
love. We'll do a different kind of love. This is about kid love, becoming a mama,
Isn't it embryo love or something?
embryonic love.
Yeah.
I love
Fetus love.
fetal love. Yeah, it's about coming into something new, becoming creating something which then transforms me. So I need your help, though. Whoever would like to sing with us, I'll teach you the chorus, because the chorus comes in at the end. Sweet little fishy, what's the key? Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around. Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around.
You guys can go. Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around.
Good harmony. Do you harmonize? Yeah.
Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. So you're going to follow him, and you're going to keep singing that.
The guys
can
rap. Follow me.
I'm going to rap over you. Yeah.
The guys can follow me.
And then what do the ladies do? The women.
All right, I'll break my anima and my animus up, and then we can do the whole.
Okay, good. You could split your gender thing
Okay, yeah.
and have a man, like a two-tone throat singing sort of thing.
All right. If I had a syrinx, that'd be.
Have you heard of tone singers? Way down. Gosh, darn
Oh, you
it.
mean the Tibetan? Oh,
Yeah.
man. First time I heard that, I was scared.
it is scary. It is scary. It's like an alien sound. Okay, so
Yeah.
here we go. I am a walking aquarium, belly full of water, and something little swims around deep inside. Belly hard with liquid, and a certain heartbeat. Air comes to the surface like a frog under the leaves. This heartbeat of you changes me from living for me mostly to living for you, baby, my sweet little fishy. Swim around, swim around. Sweet little fishy, 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 swim around, swim around. Keep it going. I'm not the woman I used to be. This body is changing me. I'm more amphibious than a million. You see, more animal, more bear. As smooth as rock and as wet as lake. Gripping the edge of an earthquake. Along a rip in the world set to make me stronger than I am. Oh baby, oh baby, turn me into your mother. Swim around, swim around. Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around. Oh yeah, little fishy, swim around, swim around. Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around. Sweet little fishy, swim around, swim around. Woo! Yummy. Wow, nice singers.
Yeah, that was great, you guys.
Good job. I felt a little bit like Paul McCartney at the stadium. He's going, na, 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 then he stops. And everyone goes, na, 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 na.
You saw that?
No, I saw footage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we've got another song or two? One more? 10 minutes. Okay. Good. We'll each do one more. I would just like to mention that on April 23rd, I'm doing a show in Watertown, which I hope you guys will come to. It's if you go to my website, owenkennedy.com, which is a really terrible, lame website, ignore everything and just click on upcoming shows. And it'll take you to my MySpace page, which has my upcoming gigs. And the April 23rd gig is at Tremedal Concerts in Watertown, and the proceeds will benefit Watertown's sister city in El Salvador. And I think it's a beautiful venue, and I'm going to be featuring that night. So anyway, Tara and I lined up a song for you called Million-Legged, Very Slowly Moving Creature. And this song was inspired by a winter walk that I took in Belmont a number of years ago. And there's a field with tufts of grass, many, many tufts of grass, kind of like a Dr. Seuss-looking environment. And the tufts were coming out, and I saw them. I perceived them as actually moving underground with their roots. I was in that frame of mind where everything slowed down enough so I could see the slower movements of nature.
Like the peach pit. You had a peach pit.
Thank you. Yes, Russell. Oh my God. All right. Well, here we go. I'm going to give it a whirl.
Okay.
Million-legged, very slowly moving creature, man and a woman, black and white, branches intertwined. Yes, they do. Underground, beneath the skin, roots are slowly moving. Roots of water, roots of bone, roots of earth, roots of air, roots of fire, roots of spirit, 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 spirit. That's a million-legged, very slowly moving creature, man and a woman, black and white, branches intertwined. In the forest, an old redwood tree, vessel of light and silence, an owl up above, eyes burning at night, seeing down, down through time, roots moving, yes. Well, that's a million-legged, very slowly moving creature, a man and woman, black and white, branches intertwined. Talk to me, Tara. In the heart of every woman, man, is a door waiting to be opened. Door of perception, door of time, doorway made of spirit. 'Cause that's a million-legged, very slowly moving creature, man and woman, black and white, branches intertwined. You know the branches intertwine. Now the branches intertwine. Tara Greenblatt.
Nice one.
Whew.
Thanks.
Honestly, I've lived in other countries where rhythm is a huge deal, West Africa and India, and I was brought up in a very drum-oriented environment, and Tara is up there with any drummer that I can imagine. Honest to goodness, she is.
Thank you.
This woman is capable of anything on the drum. That drum right there, subtleties that you haven't heard. Yes.
Thank you.
Little on the drum, along with a dakachika dakatum. So,
Wow.
I'm sorry. It's just that I wanted to let everybody know that you saw something today, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. Yes.
And I'm still learning.
I
So
know,
much to
that's the
still
thing.
learn, these little sounds. But
Yes.
thank you very much. It's just it's so flattering.
Whatever, man. Go on.
All right. All right, be quiet now. Now you move along. So, you ready? Can I, you remember
Oh, yeah.
the Lift My Skirt? This is called Lift My Skirt.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah.
playing the guitar in this one.
No, you're playing the guitar in this one.
What? I am?
Yeah. I wrote it down. Where is it? It's C A Hoo Ha.
You didn't write that down.
No, I didn't.
I don't know this
Oh
song.
yeah, I do. Yeah, you go like this. This one.
D7. Yep.
Yeah. C A.
Okay, I got it.
The whole time. The whole
All right,
time.
fine.
All right, this song was
Sounds
written
kinda like
when.
ska.
I gotta stand.
Is that fast though?
Doom chaka.
Done.
Boom 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 boom. Yeah. My husband's mom came down with breast cancer a couple years ago, right at the same time that her husband ended up in a nursing home with early onset Alzheimer's. So she was having a hell of a time, and she said to me one day, life is like Russian roulette. You serve all your life. She was a teacher all her life. She gave back to society, and boom, this happens. And she's like, it's not fair. But, you don't know what's going to happen around the corner. So I wrote this song in response to that, and it's called Lift My Skirt. There's actually a goddess named Baobo, who is the old lady of the village, who when things are rough in the village and people are not getting along, she's all wrinkly and old, and she runs up, she goes, "Wah!" just to surprise everyone. So they all just completely forget that we're talking about, and they start laughing. And everyone gets along again, which I think
All right.
we should just forget
Yes.
war, lift your
That's
skirt,
awesome.
Okay, here we go. Suck it to me. Yeah. Can I get a clap? Anybody? Somebody? Thank you. Yeah, I like it. I got to be awake. I got to be alive. 'Cause there's only so much time. I got to forgive. I got to let go. 'Cause I don't know about tomorrow. I gotta unzip, I got to undress, I gotta dance all up in this mess. 'Cause I don't know what the future holds. Gotta give all I got to this world, yeah. 'Cause I don't know what the future holds, yeah. Gotta give all I got to this world. Wanna scout with me? I boom bam bam dibby dabba dabba ham bam. Shubba dabba dabba down. Oh 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 oh. Ba beep ba 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 dee boo ba ba dabba down, yeah.
Ding dang ding. Bada ba boom.
Oh yeah, I gotta lift my skirt, roll around in the dirt.
future holds, yeah. Gotta give all I got to this world, yeah.
I'm going to play an original song today. It's called I Kept Thinking. It's one of those songs I really like to play when I'm really upset or something's happened or maybe I'm a little angry. But I'm not angry or upset right now, though I am going to play it. Okay, anyways, here it is. Knocking on your door, but you never came. Oh, I found a note under the floor mat that read you had left me again. Volcano of emotions rose to the surface. All I could do was scream for you. How I long for your face. Was I really so easy for you to break? Was I really so damn easy to break? Was I really so meaningless? Was I really so meaningless? To your heart, to your heart. Old shoebox of photographs of places we have been. Lately it is all I have of us that remains. You said I was your dearest one, and that would never change. But the rain falls harder and harder until the streets are all flooded again. Was I really so easy for you to break? Was I really so damn easy to break? Oh, was I really so meaningless? Was I really so meaningless? To your heart, to your heart.
Alright, so I'm going to read two. The first one's called A Story's End. The summer is coming. Our footprints are melting away. It's like we weren't there at all. I traveled down to the place where I could clear my head, but it didn't work like it did last fall. Ice rinks where kids used to play now hold red signs reading danger. This town's seen too many go. Everyone except me has moved on from their yesterdays of playing outside in the snow. And I recall seeing you, like a dream that I swore would come true. In a fairy tale it would. but all the snow is gone, and all my storybook endings never work out like they should. And the second one's called A Familiar Smell. You don't know me very well. Yes, we talked way back when. But you don't know who I am, because you hardly knew then. Older, taller, darker eyes, calluses now glove my hands. One thing remains the same. I'm still dreaming of the distant lands. And I still remember this place. Nothing in here has changed, except that you're far more perfect. Why have we become estranged? Damaged, cautious, full of thought, questioning each other's every word. But one thing remains the same. You're still the same, flightless bird.
I have 2 poems to read, and certainly they're not about spring. The first one was inspired while I was sitting at a gentleman's club. It's called The Last Dance. She exposes herself on a marble top, hoping that someone will catch a glimpse of her, that within the next 16 minutes she will learn enough to carry out her dream. Is she that narcissistic as she continues to look fixedly at herself in the mirror? Or is this a way to transfer the pain onto the person who's looking back at her? The perfume permeates the air to conceal the heavy sweat. Another glass of whiskey to accentuate the illusions I create. I can't help but think how she made a decision to exploit her innocence. Her resume reads, I can wear high heels, I'm good with poles, and enjoy extracting the moral virtue from the soul. Perhaps I'm wrong. If this is the case, I awkwardly place my donation, bid you good night, and walk off to the desolate prospects that surround me. The second one's about my dislike for clowns. I don't know if anyone else has that same thing. It's called Clowns Aren't for Everyone. Clowns are scary. They parade around with their painted-on smiley faces that resemble the drunk face that you're familiar with. They think that everyone gets joy from their childish and foolish behaviors, that their laughter will transcend you into a different space not of your own, that the honking of their horn in big shoes will split the air on the others that stand behind you. But no, I had clown sheets, and they did not make me laugh. So I'm going back to the bar for a real 3-ring circus with sideshows. Thank you.
This poem is called Sherburne, Massachusetts, which is the town where my grandfather lives. I ask my grandfather how life's been for the past 10 years. And when he speaks, it is the voice of an oak-framed door spread wide, the sonorous vowels opening like moth wings in conversational twilight. A voice that would wait for hours to be wise. And he tells me that in the past 10 years, mainly he has sat in the same 4 rooms, penciling elegant blueprints on his engineer's desk, rooms dusted with the cookbook flowerpot remains of a 6-woman family he raised for all their epochs through adolescent isolation and bohemian wandering and the calcified grief of middle age, of routines that turn to regrets while time wilts the delphiniums. He has loved them with thick skin and literate eyes. He has kept his horses and his flannel shirts intact. He tells me he has grown to believe in bread and bourbon and Barack Obama, his poet and his politician, and the first man he ever campaigned for, parsing small change into yellow envelopes, plastered with dewy-eyed Democrat slogans. You see, he never thought he'd see a black man run for office. Not after 80 years of Rehnquist and Jim Crow and burning Alabama churches. Not after his wife had fought and lost her blue blood, blue jean hopes so often to the neocons and the oil companies and the emphysema that ate out the breath from her lungs. He tells me he didn't know he'd ever pray for a world to beat on without him, white sails burning for a freedom that would never singe his wrinkled skin. He never knew his taut red fist would shake for a hope he could only pass like a torchlight, blazing. For 10 years, and 10 years, and 10 years, into the tunnels of his grandchild's cynical eyes. Thank you.
I'm going to read some spring poems, a few short ones. I've got a lot of spring poems, but no summer ones, which is sort of interesting. This is called Another Furtive Transformation, August 25th, 05, 9:53 a.m. The year, I have no idea. I never put the year down anywhere. And it's really weird that I've got this time. It must be significant for some reason. I've forgotten why. Another furtive transformation. Now the green in the trees appears thick, new, still wet, as if painted in acrylic, and the air drifts in from some pure place. Is there such a time as winter? Did a plow ever clear the field, flat and brown, where the corn shines now, or grate along the road, push aside the excess, the cold glut that delayed our process? Did the piles of snow, mounds like white graves, ever frame the driveway, blocking our view? Silent, indiscernible, complete, the wren at the feeder, the possum that plods across the grass that grows higher each day as the day invades more of each night. Even as you walk by the lake, spring is fulfilling herself.
I have two poems about fireflies. One was written by my daughter. She's not here today. She's in college and on a college trip to Japan for spring break. And the other one is by me. And she wrote hers when she was 14. I don't know when I wrote mine. It's probably in the early 2000s. But I'm finding that we often write on the same themes, which kind of surprises me, but I don't know why. So she has a scrapbook, and it's a lot of artwork done by some of her friends, and her poetry. And so that's her poetry, and that's her friend's drawing. And it's called Fireflies Born of Fire. Sitting around the campfire, good friends at my side, watching the campfire burn into the night. The flames dance and jump into the sky, and from them come fireflies. Fireflies born of fire. And now be ready for some F words. This is mine. Flameless, flying, firmament, fireless. Fireflies, freely, flitting, fleeting. Thank you.
For the past 11 years, I have been working with people with special needs, and they have inspired this poem that I'd like to read to you. It's called Look Beyond. Are you disabled? What does that mean? If we sat at the same table, how would that seem? Sometimes it's easy to see, other times it's hidden. Who has disabilities? No one is forbidden. To share in God's love, are we not all brothers? In the eyes of God, to take care of each other. If you do not know me, how may you judge? From what your eyes see, or a place of love? I do not judge you, I look for your goodness. As God wants us to do, I see our oneness. All I ask is understand what makes us the same. Give me your hand, no one is to blame. Are we so different on the inside and out? Which of us are handicapped may be hard to figure out. The next time our paths cross, look beyond what you see. But for the grace of God, you could be me. Thank you.
I'd like to dedicate this song, which is on my album in the back there, to my mother, who's turning 90 at the end of this month. And I remember when I think I was 3 and my sister was 1, we lived in Florida. And whenever we would take the bus, she would always slowly and proudly and with dignity walk to the back of the bus. And there we would sit. I don't know if you remember, in the back of the bus. All the blacks were in the back of the bus, all the whites were in the front of the bus in 1954. And I think she was, the bus driver looked embarrassed, and the white people kind of looked down, but the black people were appreciative. And I have a clear memory of that. So I'd like to dedicate this song to my mother. It's called So Far Apart.
It was good to see you, meet your family, a beautiful wife, and all those kids. It really was something to see. And your second oldest one, he has his father's eyes. I remember when he looked at me, it caught me by surprise. It wasn't just the color, though it was an arresting blue. It was something so much deeper that reminded me of you. Eyes of compassion, eyes of delight, the eyes of someone kind, and funny and bright. Do you ever think about me? Well, I often think of you. We once loved each other, then you told me we were through. I guess it's for the better. Maybe we always knew that we came from worlds so far apart. Chicken soup and Irish stew. It was good to see you and meet your family, a beautiful wife and all those kids. It really was something to see. And your second oldest one, he has his father's eyes. I remember when he looked at me, caught me by surprise.
Thank you.
So this is a poem not out of the recent version of March, in which you feel like you must have done something really good and you're being rewarded, right? This is from last week's version, in which you feel like you're being punished and can start to feel some distance from the world. There is a reference to the Secretary of State in Massachusetts, whose name is William Galvin, not Billy. I don't know if he would interpret being called Billy Galvin as disrespect or as enthusiasm. I haven't checked with him yet. It's called The Map of the Harbor Islands, and it's for Alex, in the gloom of March. On your map of Boston's harbor, islands look splattered from the tip of a brush, or someone pulled up to deliver Massachusetts. Here it is, and here's a last shovelful flung out. Paddocks spectacle, outer Brewster, old hills holding their heads above water along a drowned coast. When Billy Galvin, Secretary of State, hoisted his backpack in the Worcester station, he wanted us to know we could reach these islands, travel that far, train, then ferry, then foot, could spread our tents and sleep with the whistles of sandpipers and ships, could find our wilderness that handy. Tonight, as I stare at the map, I see not this eggshell blue, but late winter deep gray swells, surging through Nantasket roads, Black Rock Channel, Hull Gut. The ducks blown by nor'easters toward shore, eiders, petrels, moors, settle into the lee of an island, ride each wave, hang on. Let's plan that trip again. This time, let's go. As our ferry gains distance, we'll watch the city shrink into its shoreline. Facing east, like Thoreau, we can put the entire continent behind us. We will perch on the hummocks we are, confide in the current. Somehow the world will hold us. It has before.
New England, to me, New England in spring is really special because it's all about contrast. And the contrast that we got this past week with flooded basements for most people, and then these gorgeous days that we currently have, and contrast that with the fact that sometime the rest of this March we may end up with 15-degree weather. It's a lovely season. But it also, I think, equates to our humanness and how we respond to this weather, but also we have all sorts of contrast in ourselves. We deal with the beauty and the difficulties and try to catch the moments that are wonderful for us, just like we can in the spring. This poem is called Peaceful Child, Even Awake. I'm sitting outside a room at a closed door while inside the room a battle rages, then stops, to the sound of quiet and the soft clink, clink of Lincoln logs. I sip my coffee, contemplate the quiet and sun warmth, the gift of unexpected peace. Kid playing contentedly by himself, no demands for TV or time, and I'm really relaxing, taking full advantage of this quiet. No computer, no working or breakfast preparation. Those will all come later, but for now, we're each peaceful in our own space. The door opens and the mood breaks. The boy, pantless, says, "Hi, Dad," as if he expected me to be here. At his age, so much is new that father outside door, not a major surprise. He heads past, asking for TV, and we're back to the harried, hectic routine. But the moment sure was nice and necessary. Thank you.
Place my hand upon the cold, wet ground. Not frozen anymore, my hand goes down. the layers and layers around the heart of the ancient one. The moon is shining on us through this cool, dark night. Still a sparrow singing, his voice is clear and bright. Light is falling from his eyes, his mouth turned up.